Okay, so uh, I am back. So this is my NATO is Code YouTube channel. So welcome back. I have been making videos again, so kind of catching up. So I've been talking about Business 101 topics this year. Sort of started earlier in the year, but now we're finally really getting into making more videos about Business 101. And I've been thinking about one of the number one things people come to us for at this point is like, how do I fund something? How do I fund my idea? How do I get money for my idea? How do I fund things? It's like the never ending question. I guess because we have been through the long variety of things, and between both of us, we've all experienced many different types of raises. We've had to raise money for our own business. Uh, I guess I'll just ask, what does it feel like the first time you've done fundraising, just in general, like even not for your own business? What did it feel like to raise funds for
I mean, I
someone?
feel like it's always exciting when you like. So my first experience doing fundraising was I worked in a. I've done all sorts of things from like selling ads for like newspapers, but like in actual fundraising was doing nonprofit fundraising, and I was a membership director for a nonprofit radio station, and so we did pledge drives, and I had did led the pledge drives and those sorts of things, and I will say it's like always such a I don't know, rush, relief, like all of these like, good emotions when you're able to like hit that goal and meet your, get the money that you're going for. But it can also be like really kind of discouraging and crushing when it doesn't
When you
happen. Yeah, when the
don't.
opposite happens and like or like in the station that I worked for, we would just keep going until we got the money. So sometimes it would just be like a really long, like the winter pledge drive. Sometimes would really kind of drag on, and
Hey,
like
everyone's got to
nobody
get
likes
paid,
that.
right?
But yeah, exactly.
So otherwise it's like so much for the holiday, so much for Christmas for everyone. Anyways,
Yeah.
or whatever holiday. But anyways, I guess yeah, exactly. And I think about some of my fundraising times. It's like you might be doing some fundraising thing for some charity or however have you.
Yeah.
There are tons of ways to get experience helping with fundraising, and you'll find that fundraising is fundraising. Whether you're trying to raise something for your own idea or you go kind of volunteer for some things to see what it's like for someone else. And I might even go so far as to say, if you want a realistic idea of what it's like to fundraise, go help at least three different other organizations or people fundraise. Could be like a nonprofit or
Nonprofits
something.
are always looking for people
Always
to help them
looking.
fundraise. That's
Always
like
looking.
the main thing you're doing as a nonprofit is like, how do we get more money from people?
Hey, we have to make this work, everyone.
Yeah.
We have to still be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I mean, and think about it yourselves. Like, if you have a job, you don't think like, oh, these people who fundraise. It's like, well, I mean, someone has to make sure that you have a job too. Anyone who gets paid ever, someone had to figure out how you're getting paid. And so one of the things that we've been doing is, is like help people figure out how to get their businesses going. Now, even though we spend most of our time lately with, like enterprises and bigger companies, we still try to do whatever we can to talk to, people who are starting startups. We're always trying to find ways to help startups and things like that. So one of the things we've run into is just kind of like a reality that, ultimately, when you're trying to build a business or you're trying to get like an investor, I think one of the things that folks, I think oftentimes aren't ready for is like the paperwork. You have to basically be compliant. It's kind of like taxes. Think about taxes. Taxes, believe it or not, taxes is compliance. So if you think to yourself, oh, I've never done compliance, I could never do compliance. Well, if you've never done your own taxes, then I guess that's true. But if you have done your own taxes, or if you at least have discovered
someone's doing your taxes for you, file your taxes every year.
If someone discovers that they can pay someone else, that means you can run a business because you can pay someone else. So if you can pay someone else to do your taxes, oftentimes we'll pay someone else to help them with the things that they don't know how to do, like other compliance. And so, it's talking about like why is it that like you don't hear like big business people talking about compliance all the time? Usually they've paid someone else and they just have like services that automate it. And so, oh, dog, come here. We have dogs.
Dogs.
They're having a good time.
Oh, we found his favorite toy.
Oh,
Come
I'm
here,
trying to bring
Gus's.
him over.
I know, I brought him
We're
over.
gonna bring
I'm
them.
just taking
They've
the toys
decided to
away.
be a participant.
Taking the lab
Apollo.
toys away first.
They have decided to join us
They have arrived.
on the stream. Oh, see,
Oh,
now
okay, I guess I can get a Gus.
well,
here, too.
I don't know if it's just not enough
Distracting.
room.
Come here, Gus's.
But anyway, the reality is that you want to automate certain things, and if you have to think about compliance all the time, then generally it makes it really hard to try to like run other aspects of your business, because if you're constantly in the weeds with little tiny details of configurations, then it's going to be really hard to run a business. Laura, like, what do you think about like if it's like an enterprise company with like thousands of employees? Do you think that they have time to make sure that every single employee is compliant?
Well, absolutely not. And that's why you bake compliance into your system and automate a lot of those things.
Right.
And yeah, otherwise you're going to be probably paying somebody big money to make sure that you are becoming compliant, so you're not like facing huge fines and like going out of business,
And I think one of the big ones is like a lot of companies try to think about things like automation after they've started building their business. And usually, if you haven't thought about certain things in the foundation of your business, like how to make sure that as you build your business, that you're meeting laws and requirements and all those different types of things, it can be pretty challenging. So you want to actually spend some time trying to understand like how can you make your business. So I guess we're talking about the topic of liquidity here. So I haven't really talked about what liquidity is. If you've never heard of liquidity, this is basically, if I were to give the most basic explanation possible, is, how investable or acquirable is your business? That has to do with like liquidity. So if you're trying to get investments, or you're trying to raise funds, or you're trying to, get money or something along those lines for building a business, and you want to staff, you want to raise, then ultimately liquidity matters. And so if you're trying to go for like certain types of rounds, we've both invested in businesses, and we help other businesses do their investments, and then we also help other businesses raise more investments. So I guess we spend most of our time helping people with the due diligence compliance that's going to help them grow their business, whether it's a startup, whether it's not a startup. But that's mostly what we do.
Yeah.
So I guess if we're trying to help everyone understand a lesson today, if you're trying to business, if you're like someone, I'm going to go start a new business, and you want to make sure that you have something that's like investable, I guess if I were to come up with like a few points or main points to think about when you're starting a business, I guess if we were to talk about what are some main things that if you're trying to make your business investable, you probably want to, well, for one, you want to make sure that you're actually at least meeting like minimum requirements for your business. You have to meet like the tax laws. You have to make sure that you've got your business in good standing and like all those basics. It's called like due diligence is what that's called. And then also, like if you are like billing or messing with billing and things like that, there's a whole lot of due diligence with that. Maybe one thing I ask you, Laura, is for like a beginner who's not really ready for like billing, and they haven't like collected a real payment yet, and they're like, oh my gosh, I've worked for 8 months to get this first big, I don't know, $20,000 customer, which is pretty big for a newcomer. And for some companies that's there's low ticket, high ticket, so maybe that's about more than what some companies charge. But if you're in like a high ticket niche, you're getting that first sale, do you get that payment right away? And then what's it like going from like, wow, I just got this big exciting sale, to like, wow, now I've delivered the service and gotten the sale, which is a whole nother creature. What is that like?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is that it usually takes a long time to get that first, especially like an enterprise close. It can take, months, a year. It's a process. So you're not going to be closing these, big deals right away. It can take time. And then I think, going from, collecting your first, payment to moving through the process of actually like delivering the work and like collecting your final payment. I don't know. I think that can be a transformative experience to go from like that first initial excitement, especially if it's like your first like big deal or something, um, it goes from being like super exciting to kind of being like, okay, now we got to like buckle down and like get the work done.
Oh, now we have to do real work.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But there's also a satisfaction too when you do get that like final payment or whatever, and you're like, okay, we did a good job. We delivered what we came here to do, and everyone's happy. That's always what we strive to, and we have really good retention with people, with our clients, because I think that's what we deliver in a large part as well. Is like making people happy, making sure they're getting their needs met, they're getting their compliance needs met. And being able to deliver what they're on their promises to their customers. Like that's a lot of what we do with our liquidity enablement, is just making sure that everyone's happy from the investor level all the way down to the customer. So investors, boards, managers, directors, executives, we want everyone to be happy, and making sure that your job is enabled.
Yeah, so it's ultimately just like helping enable the process of being able to do business.
Yeah.
If people don't trust your process or trust you, especially when it comes to like payments and finances and things like that, that's complicated. And late payments happen, and also like big businesses move really slow. So it might be like one season. If a company's doing like some sort of activity, whether it's like a merger or a new acquisition, or like they're just starting a new business, things tend to be like all over the place. And so since we do help businesses with like liquidity events, that's where we probably spend a lot of our time. So like helping people get their legal requirements in a row. So we focus a lot on governance and compliance and making sure you have your due diligence in place so that you can have an investable business. It seems like it like moves over to whoever's talking.
Yeah, it kind of changes based on who's speaking. So.
Does it do that? Is
it
smart enough?
I kind of noticed that. I don't know how like intelligent it is, but it kind of seems to detect who's speaking and focus on who's talking.
It went to you when you were talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. I guess we even have intelligent cameras these days. So yes, you can automate things. You can automate even your live stream cameras and be lazy like us, where we don't even have a fancy setup anymore. Now, one of these days, I'll probably get back into doing more polished streams. But for now, we spend so much time doing like, I don't know, hard business things that I don't need to spend a ton of time making like the perfect, beautiful stream with like perfect edits. So hopefully it's still interesting to hear how that works. So if anyone does have any business topics that you want to talk about coming up here, I'm going to keep talking about what it's like to kind of start some of these things. There was a time when I wanted to get certain types of jobs, so I would help people get certain types of jobs, like cybersecurity jobs. Now I haven't really had like a normal kind of work in a long time. So now we build businesses. So that's more what we talk about these days. But we build technology businesses in our own software. So anyone wanting to know how to build software, or what it's like on the hiring side and things like that, we can talk about that. And I'm still happy to talk about if there's any folks who still want to hear, as a beginner, where do you start and things like that. Always happy to talk about that too. So anyway, I'll probably be continue to do these streams. So do you have any closing thoughts yourself?
No, I think that it's good. Sums it up. We're here for the questions, and here to help people, with whatever it is they're trying to do, whether it's get acquired, or get investors. We are here to help with your liquidity enablements. Start
growing faster, get bigger clients. Boring liquidity things. Do you have liquidity goals? If you don't, then you can at least learn about it. And YouTube is free, so
That's right.
There you
Always
go.
have an exit plan. This is
That's
a great
right.
place to start.
Yes.
Learning about your exit
101,
plans.
always have an exit plan.
Business 101.
Business 101, always have an exit plan. We'll leave it on that because that is the Business 101. So as long as you got your exit plan in place, you're in good shape to also figure out if you could start something yourself. So anyways, that's one thing that we're going to be spending a lot of time on is like how to build an acquirable business, how to build an investable business or like investable ideas, how to know if something's, what is liquidity? How does it work? I guess that's something that's just what people ask us about. People used to wonder like, what do people want to know? And then we're like, well, maybe they want to know more of this. And then they're like, well, no, we just want to know how to get money. It's like, well, do you want to know more about this? And you're like, no, we just want to know how to get more money. I'm like, is there anything
Everyone
else
needs more
anyone
funding,
wants?
right?
And they're like, well, no, we just want more money. I'm like, all right, everyone just wants more. I can respect it.
Yep.
Respect you too, that you potentially also want more money. And so
We're here for it.
if that's what you want, then I guess we will talk about how to get more money because that's, I guess, an important thing these days. So anyways, we'll be back.
Thanks, everyone.